Not every toxic relationship leaves bruises. Some leave scars you can't see, but you feel them every single day. Maybe you've wondered why you feel drained, anxious, or even invisible in your own relationship. Maybe you've blamed yourself, thinking you just need to try harder, love more, or stay quieter. But here's the truth. If love hurts more than it heals, it's not love. It's control. In this video, we're going to uncover 7 psychological signs you are in a toxic relationship. These aren't the obvious signs people talk about. These are the hidden ones, the subtle shifts, the quiet manipulations, the mental traps that slowly break you down from the inside out. And here's why you need to know them. Toxic relationships rarely start toxic. They start with charm, passion, intensity. But as time goes on, patterns emerge. Patterns that erode your self-esteem, strip away your confidence, and leave you questioning your own sanity. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly how to spot these patterns. And more importantly, you'll understand that what's happening isn't your fault. You're not imagining it. You're not overreacting. You're seeing the truth that no one ever told you. They say love should lift you up. But in a toxic relationship, love often disguises itself as something far more destructive. One of the clearest signs you're in danger is when criticism becomes the soundtrack of your daily life, wrapped neatly in the package of just trying to help. It doesn't start as outright cruelty. At first, it's subtle. Your partner might comment on the way you dress. That shirt doesn't really flatter you. I just think you'd look better in something else. Sounds harmless, right? Almost like they care. But fast forward a few weeks, and suddenly every outfit you put on is under scrutiny. Every choice, every detail. Examined, dissected, corrected. What felt like support now feels like surveillance. The danger here isn't just the words themselves, but the repetition. Constant criticism, even when framed as constructive, begins to erode your self-esteem grain by grain. You start second-guessing the simplest decisions. What you wear, how you cook, even how you laugh. The voice in your head no longer belongs to you. It belongs to them. Think about this. Imagine you cook dinner and your partner says, "Not bad, but you really should add more salt. My mom always did it better." The first time, you shrug it off. But when every meal ends with a comparison, you stop feeling like a partner and start feeling like a failure. Before long, you're cooking, not because you enjoy it, but because you're terrified of getting it wrong. That's not love. That's control. Here's the trick toxic partners use. They hide control inside the language of improvement. "I'm only saying this because I want the best for you." It sounds noble, but what it really means is, you're not good enough as you are. Over time, you internalize this message. You begin to believe you're broken, flawed, in need of constant fixing. And guess who holds the tools to fix you? Them. It's not about helping you grow. It's about keeping you small. The psychology here is powerful. Humans are wired to crave acceptance from the people closest to us. When that person dangles approval like a carrot, but constantly pulls it away with criticism, your brain starts chasing validation instead of noticing the abuse. You end up walking on a tightrope, desperate not to fall, desperate to finally get it right. But here's the truth. In a toxic relationship, you will never get it right. The rules keep changing because the goal isn't your growth, it's your obedience. Let me give you a relatable example. Imagine you're getting ready for a night out with friends. You feel good, confident. Then your partner says, "Are you really wearing that?" It makes you look tired. "I'm just being honest." You hesitate, suddenly unsure. You change clothes, not because you wanted to, but because their comment planted doubt. And later that night, while your friends compliment your outfit, all you can think about is that one sentence. That's how criticism takes root. It rewires the way you see yourself. Constant criticism disguised as advice is like water dripping on stone. Slowly, quietly, it reshapes who you are until you no longer recognize yourself. The saddest part? Many people in toxic relationships mistake this erosion for love. But love builds. Love accepts. Love celebrates. If someone is always fixing you, they don't love you. They're controlling you. And the longer it continues, the harder it becomes to tell the difference. A healthy relationship should feel like a refuge, a place where you can exhale, drop your guard, and simply be yourself. But in a toxic relationship, the very opposite happens. Home stops being safe. Instead of comfort, you feel tension. Instead of freedom, you feel fear. And soon, you find yourself walking on eggshells, carefully calculating every word, every move, every facial expression, just to avoid setting them off. This is the psychological toll of fear-based communication. It doesn't need shouting, slamming doors, or violent outbursts to exist. Sometimes, it's the quiet that hurts the most. The unspoken threats, the sighs, the eye rolls, the heavy silence that weighs on you like a storm about to break. You learn to scan the atmosphere of your own home, the way a soldier scans a battlefield. Alert, tense, always anticipating danger. The damage this does to your mind is staggering. Living in constant anticipation of conflict rewires your nervous system. Your body is flooded with stress hormones, adrenaline, cortisol, preparing you for a fight that never seems to end. Over time, you develop anxiety, trouble sleeping, even physical symptoms like headaches or stomach pain. And the cruelest part? You start believing it's normal, that this is what a real relationship feels like. Let's make it concrete. Imagine coming home after a long day. You put your keys down on the table, and instantly the atmosphere shifts. They don't say anything, but you feel it. The disapproval in the air. Maybe the way they look at you, or don't look at you. You replay the day in your head, trying to figure out what you did wrong. Did you forget to answer their text? Did you leave the dishes in the sink? The silence screams louder than words ever could, and you find yourself apologizing without even knowing what crime you committed. That's not communication. That's intimidation. Silence in a toxic relationship isn't peaceful. It's a weapon. It keeps you guessing, keeps you off balance, keeps you desperate to win back their approval. You begin to overthink everything. How you phrase a sentence, how you smile, even how you breathe around them. And slowly, without realizing it, you erase parts of yourself. You laugh less, you share less, you shrink down to the safest version of you. Not because that's who you are, but because that's who they allow you to be. And here's the heartbreaking truth. Walking on eggshells doesn't protect you. No matter how careful you are, no matter how many times you swallow your feelings, the explosion will still come. The rules keep changing, and you'll never know which step is safe and which will shatter everything. Living like this teaches you one lesson. Your voice doesn't matter. And once that belief takes hold, the relationship has already stripped away something essential, your sense of worth. Love is not supposed to feel like a trap. Love is not supposed to make you brace yourself the moment you walk through the door. If you feel more anxious at home than at work, that's not love. It's control. One of the most insidious weapons in a toxic relationship isn't anger or even silence. It's gaslighting, the slow, calculated erosion of your ability to trust yourself. Gaslighting is when your partner manipulates you into doubting your own memory, your own perception, even your own sanity. And the worst part? It happens so subtly that by the time you realize what's happening, you're already questioning who you are. It often starts with something small. Imagine this. You and your partner make plans to meet a friend for dinner. You remember clearly. They said Friday at 7 p.m. You even wrote it down. But when Friday comes and you remind them, they say, "What are you talking about? I never agreed to that. You must be imagining things." At first, you laugh it off. Maybe you did mix up the days. But then it happens again and again, until every disagreement ends with them insisting, "That's not what happened." You always remember things wrong. Suddenly, your once sturdy sense of reality begins to feel shaky. You replay conversations in your head, desperately trying to piece together the truth. You check your phone, your calendar, your texts, anything to prove to yourself that you're not crazy. But even when you find proof, they twist it. You're too sensitive. You're overreacting. I never said that. You just want to fight. And slowly, painfully, you begin to believe them more than you believe yourself. The emotional toll of this is devastating. Imagine what it feels like to no longer trust your own mind, to feel like a stranger in your own thoughts. Every time you stand your ground, they dismiss you. Every time you try to remember, they rewrite history. You start to wonder, am I losing it? Am I really this forgetful? Is it actually my fault? And that's exactly the trap. Gaslighting doesn't just distort reality, it rewrites your identity. This constant rewriting leaves you living in a fog. You hesitate before speaking because what if you get it wrong again? You avoid bringing up issues because you're tired of being told you're imagining things. And worst of all, you start depending on them to define what's real. Maybe they're right. Maybe I am too emotional. Maybe I should let them decide. That dependence is exactly what gaslighting creates. A version of you who no longer feels confident in your own truth. Here's the cruel irony. While you're drowning in self-doubt, they look calm, reasonable, even logical. They make you feel like you're the unstable one. And because you don't want to be crazy, you try harder to conform, to accept their version of events. It's a vicious cycle. The more you doubt yourself, the more power they gain. Gaslighting is psychological warfare. It leaves no bruises, no scars you can show. But it cuts deeper than physical pain because it convinces you that your suffering isn't even real. Victims of gaslighting often describe feeling like they're losing their mind. And in a way, they are. Their sense of reality is being stolen, one manipulated conversation at a time. And here's the chilling truth. Once someone convinces you that your memory and perception can't be trusted, they can convince you of anything.